Welcome to my channel, INTJ Island. Today, I'm going to discuss the question, is the INTJ mind open or is it closed? I came across a video the other day, I'll put a link in the description, where the creator was doing a hit piece on MBTI generally, and the INTJ personality type description specifically. I think the creator of that video was well-meaning and generally a good guy. I am only discussing his assertions and conclusions, but I am not attacking him personally in any way. It appears that his history is that he spent a lot of time building a channel based upon the INTJ personality type, and only then did he run into something that challenged his religious beliefs when he came across some information about Carl Jung's personal habits that he considered to be unchristian. He took down his old content and then set about attacking MBTI and the concept of being INTJ. All of that is his business, and I honestly don't care about that. However, I am interested in discussing some of the ideas he brought up. Interestingly enough, a lot of what he was putting forward as evidence against MBTI seemed rather to support it. However, since his motivation is religious, reason can get left behind when you use faith as your guide. I understand where he is coming from, and this is not about him, but only his assertions, particularly on the point of open-mindedness. It was stated that the INTJ is said to be the most open-minded of all the MBTI types, and he then proceeded to present examples where INTJs had what appeared to be very closed minds. This is worthy of discussion. How is it that the INTJ mind can at times appear to be the most open of any type, but it can also appear to be quite closed? As it turns out, this is not at all a contradiction. We are fact-based in our decisions. We use thinking as our judging function, and thinking can lead us into unknown lands where we must keep our minds open as we seek knowledge and comprehension. But it can also lead us into understanding so that we come to conclusions that we accept strongly. A related point he raised was a study that described the INTJ's tendency to either accept or reject religious beliefs. He made quite a fuss over the fact that the study didn't suggest that all INTJs are atheists, as if he expected that would be the case. Of course, this is a straw man argument. It is not generally suggested that all INTJs are atheists. That assertion is absurd on its face. Many INTJs are religious, with a strong belief in God. The point that has been made in the past is that of all the 16 MBTI types, INTJs are the least likely to have a belief in God. Think about this. If you have 16 different groups of people, each with 100 members in the group, and in one group there are 95 people who believe in God, and in the next group 92 people believe in God, and so on down the line, if one group has only 65 people who believe in God, and that number is smaller than any of the other groups, what does that mean? Clearly, it does not mean that all members of that group are atheists. Far from it. In fact, most members of that group believe in God. In other words, you can accurately state that members of this group both mostly believe in God and at the same time still have the highest likelihood of not believing in God. There is no conflict in those two statements. And yet, the presenter in the video tried to make it appear as though there were. Even if the cited study is flawed and the researchers got the count wrong, that would only be a statement of how well the study was conducted, not a statement on describing the INTJ type. Whether right or wrong, the study only suggested that a correlation appeared to exist between your MBTI type and the likelihood of your believing in God. There's nothing here to support the straw man assertion that all INTJs are supposed to be atheists. Any such assertion would be ridiculous. All it would take to overthrow it would be to point out Sir Isaac Newton or C.S. Lewis. There is no one set of religious beliefs that even the INTJs who are viewers on this channel hold. INTJs are like cats, and we can't be herded like sheep. We think for ourselves. Another point that is related to whether your mind is open or closed was when he pointed out that INTJs were very likely, when they had a religious belief, to be strongly religious. He appeared to be surprised by this. Seriously, if you think something is true, is it odd or at all unexpected that you would then treat it as being true and act accordingly? Of course, if you are an INTJ and you believe in God, you will act as though you believe in God, and you will therefore be strongly in support of your belief. Why is that worthy of note? It is predicted by the INTJ description in MBTI. Back to the open-minded question. In his video, the presenter suggested that INTJs are said to be open-minded, and then he quoted Ayn Rand, where she suggested that she would never vote for a woman president. This, in his mind, proved that an INTJ does not have an open mind. He could have just as easily used Christopher Hitchens or Isaac Asimov, who also held strong views on various topics. As often happens when I view an interesting video, I left a long comment to that video. As part of his presentation, he mentioned the fact that C.S. Lewis was an INTJ devout Christian. Having read and enjoyed a lot of C.S. Lewis books, I used a C.S. Lewis quote to demonstrate how an INTJ can be both open and closed-minded depending upon the circumstances. In his book, That Hideous Strength, C.S. Lewis created a character named Bill Hingis, a physical chemist who was a fellow at the small University of Bracton. In discussing an important question, when someone asserted to Hingis, "I suppose there are two views about everything," Hingis replied, "Two views? There are a dozen views about everything until you know the answer. Then there's never more than one." Here Lewis showed exactly why an INTJ does have an open mind until he gets enough information to where he can come to a solid conclusion. Then he makes up his mind, just like Ayn Rand did. INTJs keep an open mind as long as we are awaiting more evidence. However, once the evidence is in our opinion, we make up our minds. And once that happens, the only way to shake our position is to bring in better evidence. Ayn Rand felt she had sufficient evidence to support her view, and so she wasn't shy about stating it. Of course, the reason he brought up Ayn Rand's position on female presidential candidates was because he knew it would be controversial, making it an appeal to emotion rather than to reason. Do all INTJs agree with one another? Of course not. We often have a different set of data to work from on many subjects, and two INTJs may have enough data so that they each feel very confident in holding opposing views from one another, each feeling his position is fully supported. It is possible that if the data sets they were working with were identical, that they would then agree with each other. But even then, there could be divergence because there are axioms at the foundation of all reasoning, and those can shape the analysis of the data as well. Sadly, even INTJs can't know everything. We have to make do. But when we feel we have sufficient data to support a point of view, we can appear quite set in our opinion on it, because we are confident the facts support that conclusion. It is important for us to remember that MBTI is an attempt to describe the human mind. It is imperfect, as all things made by man are. Where it is useful, I use it. Where it is not, I do my best to understand why. I have found MBTI to be a great help in understanding myself. It has a lot to offer. Does it contain all knowledge? Certainly not. It doesn't explain IQ, for example, or psychosis, narcissism, or many other aspects of the mind. It is a tool that I find useful, but it is not the entire toolbox. Have you run into people who think INTJs are either too open-minded or too closed-minded, or who are confused by the fact that we can be both? Let me know in the comments, please. If you enjoyed the video, please click like. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please do. If you click on the bell, you will also receive notifications when I put up a new video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.